that person should be like banned from all platforms, thrown into jail.
It was less like a shot like fire, then it went out like on TikTok.
I don't know if it's a Singaporean attitude, like don't know, don't care.
They don't even know the full story, and then they say things that affect my family.
Cyberbullying, sexual content, content inciting racial or religious tension, and violent content. These were the most common types of harmful content on designated social media services, based on the annual online safety poll done by the Ministry of Digital Development and Information. A series of measures has already been introduced to address online harms, such as the Online Criminal Harms Act, the Online Safety Miscellaneous Amendments Act 2022, and the Protection from Harassment Act 2014. Various public education efforts are also ongoing. With the growing prevalence of online harms, we wanted to find out if people thought that these efforts were sufficient in encouraging a safer online environment for all. Asia One recently did a survey on online harms which gathered 1,208 responses. Almost half of the respondents recounted either experiencing online harm or personally knowing someone who has. Of the people who have experienced online harm, 60% denoted having been impacted to a large extent, either emotionally or psychologically. When asked under what circumstances respondents would take legal action against a perpetrator of online harms, 86% highlighted that they would do so at least under some circumstances. The remaining 14% respondents cited cost, complex legal processes, and emotional strain as the main reasons for not taking legal action. Proposed efforts by the government to protect its citizens, which include new legislation as well as the setting up of a new agency, have been well received, with 84% of respondents indicating that these plans will help to deter potential perpetrators at least to some extent. Out of all the new measures, the most well received was allowing victims of online harm who have filed a complaint with the agency to apply for the disclosure of a perpetrator's user information for specified purposes. To expand on our findings, we headed out to find out if Singaporeans felt the need for better protection against online harms and whether these new measures set to be introduced would be beneficial.
Yes, I have multiple friends who have experienced this. They have experienced anonymous accounts contacting them and harassing them, slut-shaming them.
Yes, her.
Yes, it's me.
I have someone that I knew that has experienced it before. Like they were sending very inappropriate comments about, like, for example, their outfits, body type wise, and so on.
For me, not personally.
I don't think any of us really have experienced any online harms.
I think by the comments, like they say things that weren't true on my end, and then they say things that kind of like affect my family. So yeah.
She felt really like exposed because all the photos that she usually posts are not like inappropriate. It's like tank tops, but like casual wear every day. She didn't expect it to be in the eyes of something sexual at the same time. So I think she felt very like, ooh.
Self-esteem really went down and her happiness wasn't really there anymore. So, and she also doesn't talk in detail to me. She always keep it to herself. So it was quite impactful to her, to say at least.
Previously they tried, but the platform didn't really do like much about it. So the most it's like the account gets reported, but it doesn't really get banned. So that particular person decided to like target others instead.
I feel like there's not much I can do lah. As much as I want to report it, there's not much follow-up, and at that point it's mostly damage control. So
I feel like I won't really report it because, to be fair, some of the platforms, what's the most they can really do? Like, for example, like my friend said, remove a comment, that's the most they will do.
it really needs that human aspect to it to look through and go through, because it's a lot of grey areas. Like, you never know what's really hurtful and what's really just for jokes.
For a safer one, filtering of comments.
Filtering out explicit contents for especially the younger generation.
Definitely. Like, you do not know how much a person go through because you're not the person. But the poor person who has experienced what you thought was maybe a joke or for fun had a lot of trauma after that.
Of course, I think they should face consequences.
Yeah, for sure. I feel that people are getting very comfortable online.
I think it will still happen. So I think it's not that big of an impact yet that is able to stop the harms that's happening online.
Considering
my friends are still going through this. It's definitely not enough.
I feel it's a good initiative that more can be done for the internet and to set some boundaries. Because right now on the internet, everything is kind of grey. You can kind of do whatever you want. But with this initiative, I think there's lines being drawn that cannot be crossed. You know what I mean?
It might be half-half because as much as they're trying to stop this, people might not really want to open up to the agency as well, and they will want to face it themselves. So I would say it's just really 50-50 because they will really have to be strong enough to talk about this to the agency or the people itself.
I 100% think it will be good to help victims that are experiencing these kind of things than online platforms not doing their jobs properly.
I would say so actually, because if you have a specialized part of the government to help tackle all this, and you have specialists who do this kind of stuff, I feel like they will be more understood. So I feel like it's a great move.
Of the people we interviewed, 9 out of 10 respondents have not reported or would not report the online harms they have faced to the respective social media platforms as they found it ineffective. The main reasons why respondents felt that reporting online harms to the relevant platforms were futile included not receiving follow-ups after reports were made, only removing some harmful comments, and not placing a ban on the account. Respondents also said that social media platforms should continue filtering harmful content and explicit comments to foster a safer online space. Some suggested not just relying on the platforms, but instead working on educating the public on what sort of behavior constitutes online harm and the steps to take should they be subjected to online harms. All of the respondents agreed that those responsible for online harms should face consequences and that a temporary ban from social media platforms is not enough. Slightly more than half of the respondents felt that the current measures in Singapore are sufficient, but building on and strengthening our laws as technology continues to develop should be our focus. Respondents also reacted positively towards the proposed new measures by the government and the establishment of a new agency to enhance online safety, adding that providing more timely and effective relief and having an agency dedicated to assisting victims of online harms are good initiatives to make the internet a safer place. So, what do you think?